The time is 1:15. Here is the news edited by Romesh Pires, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. Today marks the commemoration of the 13th anniversary of the War Heroes Day. The Prime Minister reveals in Parliament the receipt of $160 million from the World Bank. The former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa arrives in Parliament to attend today's proceedings. Tuition classes for ordinary level students permitted till midnight on Friday. The CID questions Senior DIG of the Western Province for 10 hours. The Prime Minister says existing parliamentary culture needs to be changed. International news, Ukrainian forces emerge from a stronghold. Sports news, cricket. Musfiqur Rahim becomes first Bangladesh batter to reach 5,000 test runs. Local news in detail. The Chief of Defence Staff and Commander of the Army, General Shavendra Silva, in a special message on the commemoration of the 13th anniversary of the War Heroes Day, or Ranabiru Day, assured that the brave war heroes who brought freedom to our country 13 years ago would continue to ensure national security as the priority and protect all Sri Lankans and the country even during present challenging times. Meanwhile, in parallel with the Victory Day, Chief of Defence Staff and Commander of the Army, with the approval of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, promoted a total of 396 officers and 8,110 other ranks who are eligible for their next rank with effect from today. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe in Parliament today revealed that Sri Lanka received $160 million from the World Bank on Tuesday. The Prime Minister said, adding that this sum cannot be utilized for fuel imports, but will discuss with the World Bank Group the possibility, since the Asian Development Bank is to also provide a similar amount. Separately, Samagijana Balavegia MP Dr. Harsha De Silva said that Sri Lanka will be going into a hard difficult today, meaning that for the first time in Sri Lankan history, the country will not be able to settle its loans as the 30-day grace period for settlement has lapsed. In response, the Prime Minister said he would provide a report on the debt settlement by next week. Former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, who stepped down from his position amidst growing public agitations, arrived in the Parliament to attend today's proceedings. This is the first time Rajapaksa made an appearance in the House after resigning as the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka on the 9th of May. He vacated the position the same day in the wake of nationwide public furor following an attack by ruling party supporters on anti-government protesters outside the Temple Trace and at the Goldface Green in Colombo. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news. Senior DIG Western Province Desabandhu Tennakon has recorded a statement with the Criminal Investigation Department for nearly 10 hours over last week's violence. Police media spokesperson SSP Nihal Talduwa informed the News Radio that Senior DIG Desabandhu Tennakon recorded a statement until 1 a.m. The Attorney General on Mondays instructed the Inspector General Police C.D. Vikramaratne and the CID to record statements and arrest 22 individuals, including former ministers and Senior DIG Western Province Desabandhu Tennakon in connection with the attack on protesters on the 9th of May, if there is sufficient evidence of their involvement. Sri Lanka Podujana Peramana parliamentarians Sanat Nishantha and Milan Jayatilaka were arrested by the CID on these grounds last evening. Accordingly, statements will be recorded from MPs Johnston Fernando, Pavitra Vanyaraji, Sanjeeva Edirimana, Rohita Abegunavardhana, C.B. Ratnayake and Indika Anuruddha, 5 teams of CID visited Parliament yesterday to record statements. However, the process was postponed till today. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says it is high time the existing parliamentary culture underwent a change. Addressing the parliamentary session on Tuesday, the Prime Minister said the National Council should be established as the first step towards a change in parliamentary culture. The ruling party blocked the motion expressing displeasure against the President by defeating the proposal to suspend Parliament standing orders. Accordingly, the motion expressing displeasure against the President was not taken up for debate in House as a matter of urgency. Delivering his speech, Prime Minister Wickremesinghe stressed that a new code of conduct should be introduced for the members of Parliament. He added, a Parliamentary Standards Act is also needed for this purpose. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Department of Examinations has decided to permit the conduct of tuition classes, lectures and seminars for the 2021 GCE Ordinary Level Examination until midnight on Friday. The ban on the conduct of tuition classes, lectures and seminars for O-level students was due to come into force from today. Commissioner General of Examinations LMD Dharmasena said, however, considering the climate and the country during the past 2 weeks, they have decided to extend the time frame granted to conduct tuition classes and seminars until midnight on Friday. The 2021 GCE Ordinary Level Examination will get underway on the 23rd of May and will draw to an end on the 1st of June. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
This is Watchlight.
The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation says the petrol supply will be limited. Hence, the general public is requested not to queue up for petrol tomorrow, today, unless essential. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation added the petrol distribution process will resume tomorrow as per usual. Meanwhile, Electrogas Lanka Limited says the 2 LPG gas shipments for which the payment was settled yesterday could not be unloaded last evening. The company explained the prevailing adverse weather conditions had hindered the unloading process. Accordingly, the general public is requested not to stand in queues as distribution is expected to experience delays. That came to you on Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
World News headlines first. Ukrainian forces emerge from stronghold. COVID-19 deaths in US top on 1 million. Climate changes swells odds of record India and Pakistan heat waves. World News in detail. Mariupol has become both a symbol of Ukrainian resistance and a sign of Russia's relentless military drive. Now a final stronghold has fallen. Ukrainians who fought for weeks to defend a steel mill have been carried out on stretchers. Their transport is marked with a sign of support for the invasion. It will take them to an era controlled by pro-Russian militias. Russian soldiers had the plant surrounded. Their constant bombardments meant that by the time Ukraine's military ordered the end of the combat mission, the city lay in ruins. Data from Johns Hopkins University in the United States shows the country's death toll from the coronavirus topped 1 million on Tuesday. A Met Office study finds climate change makes record-breaking heat waves in northwestern India and Pakistan 10 times more likely. The region should now expect a heat wave that exceeds the record temperatures seen in 2010 once every 3 years. The Met Office says without climate change, such extreme temperatures would occur only once every 312 years. The report comes as forecasters say temperatures in northwest India could reach new heights in the coming days. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Ukrainian forces emerge from stronghold. COVID-19 deaths in US top 1 million. Climate change swells odds of record India and Pakistan heat waves. That ends world news. Moving on to development news. Hydropower companies in Sri Lanka had the opportunity to interact with Nepal's Ministry of Energy, Water Resources and Irrigation and Nepal Electricity Authority on the investment opportunities in Nepal for hydropower development during a meeting held virtually on 6 May 2022. The meeting was jointly organized by the Embassy of Sri Lanka in Nepal and the Export Development Board of Sri Lanka. The Small Hydropower Developers Association of Sri Lanka conveyed their keen interest to invest in Nepal's hydropower sector, particularly given the opportunities for small projects, which is a niche expertise area for Sri Lankan companies. The present meeting is the fourth in the series of webinars organized by the Embassy with the EDB to explore opportunities in the construction services sector. That came to you on Development News.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Sports news, it's cricket. Day 4 of the first Test Sri Lanka tour of Bangladesh in Chattogram, Bangladesh were 385 runs for the loss of 3 wickets, trailing by 12 runs in response to Sri Lanka's 397 runs. Batters Liton Das and Musfiqur Rahim was at the crease before lunch with 88 and 85 runs respectively. Meanwhile, Musfiqur Rahim beat Tamim Iqbal in the race to 5,000 test runs, becoming the first Bangladesh batter to reach the landmark. He achieved the feat with the couple to fine leg of Asita Fernando on the 4th day of the test against Sri Lanka in Chattogram. That ends sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB You Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Marking a key milestone in its sustainability journey, Hell Apparel Holdings has been awarded the prestigious ISO 14064 certification by the Sustainable Future Group, SFG. The ISO certification was awarded to Heller in recognition of the group's efforts to establish a framework to quantify and report on their greenhouse gas emissions in accordance with ISO's strict requirements, as well as implementing a carbon management plan to work towards reducing emissions where possible. Heller continuously strives to be a responsible manufacturer and has introduced multiple sustainability initiatives to reduce its environmental impact. That ends Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB You Trust.
Data shows the Ceylon Electricity Board has run up losses of 32 billion rupees in the in the first quarter of the 2022 amid a drought and the currency collapse as price hikes are stalled. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said this week the CB is charging about 17 rupees for a unit but is spending about 48 rupees for a unit. CB's revenues went up 7.5% to 64.2 billion rupees, but cost of sales went up 43% to 94.7 billion rupees. CB's short-term borrowings shot up to 58 billion rupees by March 2022 from 33 billion rupees from December 2021. The higher bank borrowings are coming as the central bank has raised to curb domestic credit and help support the rupee. That came to you on Economic News.
Economic News, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011. Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The Weather Report.
The Department of Meteorology says the southwest monsoon condition is gradually establishing over the island. Showers or thunder showers are expected at times in western, Samtragama, central, northwestern and southern provinces. Very heavy showers of above 75 mm can occur in parts of the Sabaragamulla province and in the Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Mathura districts. Several spells of showers will occur in the northern province and in Anuradhapura district. Strong winds of about 40 to 50 km per hour can be expected at times over the western slope of the Central Hills, northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in the Hambantota and Trincomalee districts. That ends with the report. To wrap up the afternoon news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Today marks the commemoration of the 13th anniversary of the War Heroes Day. The Prime Minister reveals in Parliament the receipt of $160 million from the World Bank. The former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa arrives in Parliament to attend today's proceedings. Tuition classes for O-level students permitted till midnight on Friday. The CID questions senior DIG of the Western Province for 10 hours. The Prime Minister says existing parliamentary culture needs to be changed. International news, Ukrainian forces emerge from stronghold. Sports news, cricket, Musfiqur Rahim becomes first Bangladesh batter to reach 5,000 test runs. With that we conclude the afternoon news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka.